Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk about the social training of men and women. But first, let me say thank you to everybody who's been stopping by, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, even donating. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please go ahead, click on the subscribe button, click on the bell notification symbol, and accept the email notifications. It'll help me grow my channel, and I would really appreciate it. Now, let's talk about the social training of men and women, because what's really going on is the social conditioning of men and women. And I hate to tell you this, not to make it worse, but it's mainly men, boys, and it's negative conditioning. It's punishment. It's using punishments to get them to do what society, culture, and women want them to do. Now, in many instances, it is to their advantage to go along. They have to go along. The young boy is going to go along with his mother no matter what. No baby is going to defy its mother. No child is going to defy, the school system at an early age, at least not consciously. They might pitch a fit like a little baby, because they are little babies. I shouldn't really say it like that, should I? But they're not going to draw up a list of grievances and then nail it to the front door of the school, right? You have to be a baby Martin Luther there, right? Apparently that's what he did growing up his whole life. That's what he just liked to do. Yeah. So there you go. You take your personal peculiarities and you turn them into your life's work. And yeah, that's really a smart, if you can do it, if you can monetize it. And it's possible in this day and age. With the internet, you can reach into every corner. So if you have a peculiar hobby, you can reach out to other people who have that same hobby. And then you can interact with them, build up a kind of group. You could monetize it. You could do all kinds of things with it. You could design it so that it was self-perpetuating, so that it would continue to grow. So there you go. But, that's a bit of entrepreneurship, isn't it? You would have to be highly motivated to do something like that. Good luck, because men are discouraged. People are discouraged from being entrepreneurs by taking chances. And what's the worst that's going to happen is you're going to fail. And I've got news for you. When you first start doing something, you're going to fail anyway, simply from a lack of experience. We're not born with advanced skills. We have to acquire them. Wouldn't it be nice if humans could, wouldn't it be interesting if humans could live in a world where they didn't have to acquire skills and they were merely taken care of? Unfortunately, that is the ideal goal of many people in, this kind of socialist, globalist mindset, that they should be taken care of. And you can understand, why they want it, why they consider it to be compassion, but it's not. It's weakness masquerading as compassion. So it's maladaptive, right? Once you start giving everybody welfare who doesn't want to work, suddenly nobody wants, very few people want to work. And you can't sustain a system like that. And even though what somebody would say is, but do you want to see all those people suffer? It's like, no, I don't want to see them suffer, but if they don't want to take care of themselves, what can I do to stop them? It's like, well, you can give them free stuff. It's like, well, then we incentivize them and they multiply, and then we are enslaved and destroyed by them. We're overrun with it. So you can't do that. And yet, that's what many people are arguing. So what we're looking at is the taking of a good idea and then bringing it to this absurd level, applying it, so broadly, so universally that it has absolutely no meaning. For example, the idea of equality, equal rights, before the law. And then we take it to the idea of compensation levels for a person who works very hard and is very capable versus a person who just doesn't work and is not very capable. It's like, well, they should both be paid the same. But no, they shouldn't be. It's like, well, why is this person extremely wealthy and extremely well off? That doesn't, that seems hardly fair. They should give some of it to me. No, they shouldn't. You didn't earn it. And it's like, well, then I'm going to suffer. It's like, yeah, then you're going to suffer. So this idea that we can alleviate suffering by giving people free stuff, it's compassion holding us hostage. That's what it is. And if you apply it to people who don't have compassion themselves, well, then you're being a complete fool, aren't you? So imagine if you could train men and boys to go along with that, to defend that, to present that as virtue, to attack anyone who goes against that. Because we're all equal, right? We're all the same. So the person who works hard and goes to school and becomes a doctor is the same as the person who doesn't go to school, takes drugs, and overeats. They're the same, aren't they? There's no difference. But of course there's a difference. Well, you're going to take care of that person, though, who didn't work, who took drugs and overate. You're going to take care of them. You're going to take the money from the doctor that he's going to earn and give it to that other, because it's the right thing to do, because we don't want to see them suffer. Well, I'm sorry that they have to suffer. Suffering is how people learn. If they don't suffer and feel pain, then they don't adapt to the situation and overcome obstacles. So now you're left with a nation of dependents that want to break things and trash things in the streets. Now, if they don't have any opportunities to get ahead, you can understand some frustration there. But if there's any opportunities for them to get ahead and they're not taking these opportunities, well, then the failure is on them. And suffering is a part of growth and becoming strong and learning for them. Learning is not an easy process. Becoming strong is not an easy process. Becoming capable at something difficult is not an easy process. It can be, it could be made much more difficult and it can be made a lot easier, but it is something to be overcome. And the ability to do these types of things is best cultivated within the individual, right? So make yourself strong, make yourself healthy, do the right things. Will that always give you the highest payoff in the moment? No, but it will down the road in the long run. And isn't that, the most important thing? Usually. Sorry. Yeah. Well, there goes, one qualification on that and it's gone, isn't it? The previous statement is just gone with that one qualification. But what I'm suggesting, and this is a kind of objectivist view of ethics and morality, and I don't have a great handle on these sort of things, so I could be getting it all wrong. There you go. There's another one of those, qualifiers that just destroys everything. But the idea that your morals and ethics are what will best move you into the future. And this is not to say survival of the fittest. This is not to say the will to power for its own sake, because that would not sustain you, would it? You think it would, but that's the thought of a brute. No, if you adopted methods that were not fair to other people and to the group will take you down. You will not be allowed to operate within a group of other civilized men. So this idea of survival of the fittest and a person will just do whatever they need to do to get ahead, it's like, well, eventually you will be kicked out of the group. Eventually your luck will run out. So even though there is this short-term benefit to be had, there's no long-term benefit to be had. There's actually a long-term deficit and punishment to pay. So there's a lot, that I don't understand about that. But if you think adopting a set of ethics that are motivated self-interest being not conducive with the larger group and society and a civil society, I would disagree. Because as I said, if the individual becomes, too self-interested and breaks the rules of civil conduct between civil men, he can't trade in the group. In other words, if he gives his word to pay back a debt, but then he doesn't pay back his debt, nobody's going to loan him any money. So it might be to his benefit once or twice. He might get away with it, but that's all. So there you go. So it might be to his benefit to deal unfairly with other men once or twice. But once they realize it, men as a group won't want to deal with him. So objectivist ethics are conducive with a civil society and a larger group, a structure. You're doing the right thing for your own benefit, and it is of benefit to the larger group. These things are not in conflict. But this is only when the individual man is adopting this personal responsibility and is trying to step out of the negative conditioning of being a servant, of chasing women, of fulfilling his basic biological urge and turning a blind eye to the financial, emotional, psychological, career destroying aspects of being in a long-term relationship with a woman in this day and age. If conditions were different, I suppose the situation would be very different. But with the idea that a woman can accuse a man and that the man is going to be just put away, with the idea that, this is taking place in a social setting of college, of university, I understand that society wants to protect the women, sees them as very vulnerable, but you can't hand over this kind of power, this kind of, witch hunt power to the weakest and the most easily offended groups within society. So what I have been talking about in some recent videos is this idea of a basically decent idea being brought to an absurd level. And this is what society has done to men and to boys. Honestly, boys are drugged in early education because they don't sit still and they don't act more like little girls because they annoy the female teachers. And this is represented as fair. It's horrific, it's terrifying, and it's normalized. So this is the basis of the conditioning. This is how it then moves forward. The men are starting off at this place as broken girls that are dangerous. The women need protection. The least ambitious, the least achieving within the society and the culture are the same and no different from the highest achieving and the hardest working. Well, you've just destroyed the incentive for anybody to work hard. So what a terrible thing that's being done in the pursuit of compassion and equality. So the good idea is now undercut by the people of no morality who want to use it as an excuse to not achieve or aspire to any sort of excellence in life. Then it becomes maladaptive because now we are incentivizing the worst behavior. That's the process of this social conditioning. That's where it leads. Now, I am not concerned with saving the civilization. I am not concerned with, punishing anybody. I'm concerned with the idea of helping you, the individual man, become strong and capable in your individual life. And if you think, that doesn't matter, you have to save the larger system. If we did that with all the individual men, that would save the system. So there you go. Because it is about the individual rights versus this larger group rights. And the man is conditioned, the boy is conditioned, the man is conditioned to give up those individual rights in order to get ahead in the world. Which again, it's a decent idea, right? You have to sacrifice to get ahead, right? If you want to build muscle, you're going to have to exercise and watch your diet. You're going to have to work hard at a skill to acquire a skill. You're going to have to give your time and your effort and your frustration in order to grow and to build. Okay, it's a good idea. It works. And now we're going to have you do it for somebody on the other side of the world who doesn't care about you so that they can come here. You can pay for their housing. You can pay for their food. You can pay for their children. You can pay for their health care. So they're going to come in droves. And if you don't go along with what was this originally decent idea, you're a bad man. And then that's how, the punishment aspect of this social conditioning works. It's like, what, you're objecting to that? How dare you? You're a bad man. No decent woman would be with a man like that. That's the social conditioning. So the men are tricked into going against their own nature. This is why I see MGTOW as the way forward for the individual man to find the individual value in his life. You haven't lost everything. Just because, you come to this realization that the women and the system at large and the government at large and other people's values around you, even your friends and your family, they don't have your interest at heart. They have their interest at heart. It's a harsh thing to come to. And, it takes time and it's not always exactly true. Like, you could have good parents that do have your interest. You can have good teachers, of course. You can have good relations. It's possible. It should be the norm. But society and culture at large uses it to their advantage. The institutions, the education, religion, media, they use it against the individual, to control the individual, to not grow themselves, and to create this stagnant system which doesn't respect individual rights. So The individual has to come to this realization, the individual man. He has to not be too hurt by it. I know it is really damaging too. And then he has to be strong enough to move forward in life. And I hope that MGTOW videos can help you guys do that. That's what I would really like to see happen. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.